Hello everyone and welcome to Gierok Farms. It is nice to see you guys again. Today we are cutting some more hay. I am just walking down to our new seeding field here right by the yard to see how that's coming along. We haven't had the best drying days lately, but we still have to do something. Looking at the forecast, looks like we're gonna have a couple days after today where there's supposed to be some sun. So this should be able to get dry hopefully by tomorrow. I highly doubt we're gonna do anything with it this afternoon with the way it's looking, but that's just kind of the name of the game this year. It's not been a crazy wet year, but we've had enough rains stretched out every few days to where it's hard to get a good drying window. But that's part of it, that's farming. Looking at our new seeding piece here, sun is starting to come out now. It's still very damp underneath. If the sun stays out like it is now, maybe later this afternoon if it's rolled over, but looking off in the distance, it doesn't look too clear that way. But we'll talk more about that as the video goes on. We're gonna head up on the hill and see how mowing hay is going, get the scoop from Dad. So thank you all for watching, thanks for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy the video. watching that John Deere pair work. That 7510 handles that 630 Moco discbine very, very well. This part always eats up a lot of time where we're in the center of a field with a triangle, a lot of turning around, not a lot of acres being covered per minute or per hour when you're doing this, but it's the battle we face. Very many perfectly square fields around here. So Dad's done cutting for the day. He doesn't want to take any more, looking at the forecast, and he was just talking here how this field has matured really nice into a very dense alfalfa stand. We actually caught this on film when we seeded this down.
Yeah, we did.
Back into hay.
And we were stopping and adjusting the seeder, and we had a lot of grass in the mix.
And long ago, this was just pasture. You'd harvest the hay off of it for first crop, and then you'd rotationally graze it the rest of the year. And it's really cool to see it turn into a very productive
So what
field.
I did is, in '94, because we did some bodo, there used to be some ditches that came up through these ravines, quite a ways up. And it was just full of brush, and I cut that back and they fixed that. And then I think it was 94 or 93, maybe 94 I had corn here, maybe 95 we seeded it, something like that. But anyway, then it was grass. It was alfalfa grass mix so this would be, I think, third year now since new seeding. I think it's because it's been in nothing but grass for so long that what the alfalfa is doing is it's got quite the advantage now. It was wore down as far as grass is concerned, but then the nutrients alfalfa uses was pretty dominant.
Yeah, and in between the grass and the hay stand, we had a good crop of corn up here.
Yeah, that was excellent. But this isn't very appealing for corn or even for cutting. It's almost like a diamond. It's a pretty crooked and hilly. We got kind of a knob here, so when you're turning, I slide because the alfalfa is almost a little. See, you can see the dirt. The old grass stand, you wouldn't see the dirt. If you could cut the hay, you would just see like your lawn, you know. They like our pastures there, but it's all just, it'd still be, you know, stubble would be so thick you would, and that's the difference. So this is what they call a legume versus where it's got a taproot that goes down versus grass. It's more of a.
Yeah, fun fact, alfalfa is actually a version of a pea plant. Similar to soybeans, it's kind of the same family, but it's obviously way more dense. And
I mean, and so this stuff, we kind of only had one rainstorm here a while back, but it's probably 3/4 bloom. And if the weather was really good now, the forecast, we'd just cut the rest off. One thing you guys should try to do, somebody explained this to me one time, so if you just take like the fines or the leaves and just chew them like bubble gum versus grass. You get a few blades of just grass. You could chew on that grass all day long. Doesn't really have any crazy taste or nothing, but you start chewing on this, after about a minute you'd have to spit it out. It would just be so sour. It's good for your cows and everything, but they say the grass digests better. I mean, it's more what naturally is better for cows as far as that's concerned, except where. So the big downside is if we get dry conditions, the grass is just shut off. And when it gets really hot, grass does not like heat, especially there's certain grasses. Versus this alfalfa, this will grow like a weed. And even in a dry time, it'll do quite well.
yeah, and it's high in protein. That's why a lot of dairies use it.
It's the leaves. So ideal would be to be chopping this, but you know, that's how we're going to do it. So if we're going to chop second crop, we're going to chop most of it. Either that or we're going to try bale it. But you just never know. About the time you chop it all, you probably end up with some weather. But yeah, it's the leaves and losing the leaves. And the best baled hay is a mix of grass and alfalfas together. The grasses will dry faster, and then the alfalfa's a little bit thinner in there, so you get better results. And you never really want to ted alfalfa. So like I may come up here later in the day and just ted like the edges, because that's where we got to double it. And there's a little bit of shade with a few trees, but this field, I don't know exactly why. It is on top. It is out of the shade and stuff. It does face kind of the west a little bit more, but I've always had good luck getting this one to dry. And this one on the other side, it's still on top, but it seems once you get towards the other end, it's just, it's never quite as, it is a bit more challenging. And then I got a piece above double X too that faces the east. Always had good luck with that field. Then we got another field down past the buildings down by the mailbox. That one too we've always had good luck with. It didn't seem to matter what type of hay was in there. And I don't know if it's the soils or the way it faces the valley, the winds that come in, or what it is. On a farm like this, we got a little of everything going on.
Diversity. So there's a little bit of cutting hay. We're gonna go down to the yard. We got some other stuff to work on, so we'll keep bringing you along with for the day. All right, we're back down in the yard. Dad, he decided he's gonna go grab the tedder. He just checked the weather and he's getting a little more ambitious about going out there, and he thinks he's gonna have a bigger window than he thought. So he might end up cutting some more this afternoon. We'll just kind of keep an eye on the forecast here as the day goes on and see how much sun we get today. But he's gonna go grab the tedder, so you might get to see a little of that in action. On my way back to the yard, I swung down into the back 80 there and checked the water. That's very crucial this time of year with cattle on pasture. You got to make sure they're able to get enough water, especially when it's this hot. So the day's gonna end up being a bit busier than we thought, but that's okay. Got to make hay when the sun shines. Looks like Dad's using the tedder on his way back. He's starting with the waterway here out front. That for sure needs it, and that's mainly grass, so we're not too worried about losing leaves there. For those of you that don't know, what tedding does is it takes it from being in a windrow where it's all stacked up and kind of laid together, and it fluffs it up and spreads it out over the rest of the ground evenly, so then it can all dry a lot faster. Kind of stands it back up too, so it doesn't get so matted and stays damp underneath. Allows it to dry quicker. It'd be like having a pile of wet clothes that you throw in the hamper. It's not going to dry very quick. But if you string them out, hang them up, spread them out, they're gonna dry a lot quicker. And some of you might be thinking, well, why don't you just do that all the time if you want to make dry hay? The disadvantage is it's aggressive, and you can lose a lot of those good leaves, some of that good protein that's on those alfalfa plants and those grasses. You want to disturb it the least amount as possible before harvesting it. Even when you rake it, kind of the same concept. All right, we got the tedder in the yard unhooked now. Stage for later. Probably this evening, Dad will ted some of what he just cut. You want to let it dry a little bit before you ted it. Now we're gonna move on to grinding a batch of corn. And there you have it, finished off one crib and moved on to another. It's fun watching corn get ground. Not quite as cool as watching that M grind corn, but it's still pretty fun to watch. This batch is gonna get used for the dairy cows, the dairy barn. Gotta keep them girls happy. We're done grinding corn. We're gonna swap this tractor back over to the tedder so that it's ready for this evening. Dad, he headed back up to the hill. He hopped in the 7510 and he is mowing some more hay off. Forecast sounds a little better now after a couple hours and we're getting some sun. So we're gonna chance it and he's gonna take some more off. Even if we do get a shot of rain, it's time. It's that hay's getting older. We gotta take it. All right, so it's been a really fun and productive day of farming so far, and I've been waiting to share some big news with you all day. Without further ado, I want you to meet the new member of our family. Darby and I are now parents of a beautiful little girl named Opal.
Sliding down.
Everything's been going really well so far. We've been very blessed with good health. Opal's doing great. The new mom's doing great. I'm doing great. I'm feeling very fortunate.
Yeah, we're very blessed so far.
She's growing fast. Some facts about Opal. She was 7 pounds and 9 ounces.
And then she was a little over 20 inches long. She was 20 3/4 inches.
Yeah, so a nice average sized baby. And another cool story that I've wanted to share that has to do with Opal. The day that I found out that Opal was on the way is the day that I brought home that tractor of mine. Isn't that just a cool story?
And in true farmer fashion, he said, a tractor and a baby? Yeah. Notice how the tractor came first before the baby.
Opal's more important than the tractor, but it is a cool story, I have to admit. It was a great way to find out. It was an exciting day, and it's been great ever since. So if you all have been wondering where I've been in the recent videos, that's where I've been. That's the life-changing news that we wanted to share with you. Our family is growing. The new member of Gierok Farms is here today for you guys to meet. I appreciate that you guys have been part of my journey, my family's journey, and now Opal's journey. And thank you all for being part of the videos. And stay tuned because it's only gonna get crazier. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.